There's a whole load of Trump stuff we must get into. Donald Trump has been busy in his first month as president, and it leads us to the question, what's he done now? And we've got a little jingle because it was so much to get through. So, BBC First website. Trump and Musk are taking aim at this thing called US aid. Now, what is that, Gemma?
Oh, my goodness. OK, so it's the US government's main overseas aid agency, OK? And they have their headquarters in Washington. And in the most chaotic way ever, Musk, who's at the helm of this sort of cost-cutting sort of exercise, and Trump have just, boom, close it down.
They locked the workers out, did they?
Yeah, locked them out. And they're all trying to get in. And imagine that you have a job, no matter what that job looks like, and the next day you're told, no, you're out. Now, essentially, this is completely unlawful. You can see how much people are fed up and protesting. Musk, by the way, has massive business interests in China, and he's just dismantling this government agency, but without any authorization from Congress, which is illegal.
But it may be that, in a strange way, people voted for this.
And I think democracy does matter. People in America, here we were told we were having an election and voting for or not for change. In America, there is no question the American people voted for change. They wanted to see results. This is kind of extreme, but they knew what they were getting. No, they knew what they were voting for.
They didn't know they were voting for this. They wanted the price of groceries to go down in the May.
No,
you probably said it at some point. I don't know.
They voted to shrink government, and Trump and Musk were very explicit about there being huge cuts across the board. And this is part of it.
But I think they probably imagined that it wouldn't be done like the Wild West, and this is a constitutional crisis. Plus the fact that Musk
I think the Americans like the Wild West.
Well,
I mean, that's part of
they'll
their
be
own
liking
culture.
it when their grocery prices go up yet again. And Musk is an unelected oligarch.
I want to play you the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who's obviously underneath Trump. And he said that US aid had been guilty of what he called insubordination. Let's have a listen.
I'm the acting director of USAID. I've delegated that authority to someone, but I stay in touch with him. And again, our goal was to go in and align our foreign aid to the national interest. The attitude that USAID has adopted over the years is, no, we are independent of the national interest. We fund programs irrespective of whether it's aligned or not aligned with a foreign policy. That's ridiculous. These are taxpayer dollars.
I mean, he's blatant about it.
Yeah, but the question of democracy as well, just to go back to that, no matter who is elected in, they are still supposed to serve the entire electorate, whether you voted for them or not. You can't just lock hundreds of workers, American people, out of their job.
Annunciata.
There is absolutely no doubt that the American people voted both, in their weird electoral system through the college, but also as a majority, for a government that was going to put America first. And as Rubio said, this is, in their view, USA is not putting the American priorities, the American public first. Therefore,
unless it harms national security. So do you think they also voted for them to do exactly the same as they did with the aviation, for instance? And we've seen 2 plane crashes recently.
They hadn't done anything to aviation before the crashes, so...
Yes, they had.
Well, prior to Biden, maybe, I don't know. Do they...
No, since Musk came in. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Nothing had taken effect.
I can't work out what's true and what's not with that. I've lost track of did they strip out some jobs immediately on arriving in office? Did they or not? I don't know.
The effects had not taken place as I've understood it.
OK.
But
it's not also, we don't... Trump says it's DEI that caused the plane crash.
Diversity and inclusion,
In other words, people who had disabilities or were gay or whatever, or people of colour were in there and were not qualified.
Yeah, in air traffic control, when you can't even take a Tylenol without permission. To get a job in air traffic control takes years.
Doesn't this take us back to fighting grizzly bears? This is just so the American attitude. And what seems utterly shocking to us is actually to be expected and what the American people...
There are many Americans who are completely shocked.
Yeah.
And lots of Trump regret, and we're only in, week 3. And also, this could harm their national security.
Well, let's see. I mentioned as well, there's a whole load of what's Trump done now. obviously the other big thing is tariffs. Trump had got tariffs in store for China, Canada, Mexico. So the Canadians and the Mexicans have sort of somehow managed to ameliorate it by putting troops on the border to stop fentanyl going into the States.
Yeah.
China, though, says they're going to unveil tariffs on the USA as a retaliation. They've got, I think Trump brought 10% in on China, or as he calls it, China.
China.
I don't know. What do you think about that, Annunciata? Because you're a free trade person.
I am.
But you don't like
Absolutely.
tariffs.
I don't, but I do also believe in it having a very strong attitude to looking after your own country.
You're just like a bully.
So I think you use the powers you've got to make sure your own national interest is served.
And America First is okay? Is it? as a
For
concept?
Americans, I'm not American. But yes,
but-
I mean, that's Trump's duty.
Because
as it should be started.
What do you think of it? Because America
Put
First
your
makes sense,
own-
Gemma, doesn't
Yeah, it's
it?
very nationalistic. It's very sort of, part of his sort of fascistic approach. But also, he is
cannot say
a
it's
bully.
fascistic.
No, I absolutely can. When who he's put in head of the
completely not.
army.
It's
He
actually
wants to
normally
have that-
socialists who support tariffs. And you'll find that the people on the right do not. It is a very socialist policy, yes.
Okay, and so the Canada and Mexico ones seem to have gone away after one day, which suggests it was Trump being just like a blowhard.
Yeah.
The China ones may take a bit of sorting out.
Well, I mean, that's exactly what I took it for when he did it, that it's playing hardball. And that is his job. It is to be the American president. It's not to look after the interests of Canada or Mexico or the EU
Annunciata,
or anywhere else.
Why do you support this horrible convicted felon who
I don't
is
support
totally
Trump.
and
I'm not
utterly
American. I don't have a vote. I don't
volatile?
support him. I wouldn't. I have never. I don't think there's been an election in my lifetime where I would have wanted to choose a president to vote for in the US. However,
But you think
I
his
respect
modus
them.
operandi
I
is
respect
decent?
them as a country, and I think they have chosen a leader that represents what they
Okay,
want.
we
I
must
think
talk
they'll
about
have
the